about a man's life that has him remembered. In school, we're taught about famous people, famous events, and we watch shows or short documentaries about them. One person that always stood out to me was General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Growing up, Eisenhower was the third of 7 sons. He had enduring interest for the outdoors. He had multiple injuries. He served in World War I. Sadly, never leaves the U.S. Served in World War II, only to lead 2 major operations on 2 continents. Born October 14th, 1890, in Denison, Texas, to David J. Eisenhower and Ida Stover. He was originally named David Dwight Eisenhower, but then his mother quickly changed it to Dwight David Eisenhower as to avoid confusion of having 2 Davids in the household. Growing up, in 1892, the Eisenhowers moved to Abilene, Kansas, which Eisenhower considered his hometown. Growing up, the boys had chores that they had to get done every day. And when Eisenhower was younger, he was involved in an accident that caused his younger brother Earl and I. Upon developing his skills for the outdoors, he had to learn the key skills for an outdoorsman: hunting, fishing, trapping, all of those. And all these skills were taught to him by an illiterate who camped on the Smoky Hill River. Although his mother was against the war, or against war in general, her collection of books is what sparked his interest in military history. As a freshman at Abilene High School, Eisenhower developed an injury that turned into infection. The doctor diagnosed the infection as life-threatening and insisted that his leg be amputated. Eisenhower refused to have his leg amputated, which resulted in him making a full recovery, but sadly he had to repeat his freshman year of high school. After graduating from Abilene High, Eisenhower had been accepted into the West Point Military Academy for the sole purpose of free tuition. His time at West Point, however, caused him to have a few knee injuries. First one resulting in a football game being tackled, which ultimately being his last football game that he would ever play. Next few times he hurt his knee horseback riding and boxing in the ring. Eisenhower then decided to take up gymnastics and fencing. Upon graduating from West Point, Eisenhower was stationed in Texas, where he met his future wife, Mammy Dowd. They were instantly taken with each other, and Eisenhower proposed on Valentine's Day, 1916. The November wedding that they had planned had to be moved up due to the U.S. entering World War I, and they were married in July of 1916. Eisenhower had requested to be assigned overseas, but was denied. He was then assigned to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and in 1918, he was transferred to Camp Meade, Maryland. The unit was ordered to France. The orders had changed. He was to lead the new tank corps and promoted to lieutenant colonel in the National Army. Where the unit was ordered again to France, but sadly the armistice thwarted his wishes. In the days following the end of World War I, Eisenhower had struck up a close collaboration with General George Patton and other senior tank leaders to discuss future tank warfare. Promoted to Brigadier General after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, he was assigned to the General Staff in Washington and was responsible for creating war plans to defeat Germany and Japan. Then being appointed in charge of Pacific Defense, which under the Chief of War Plans Division, Eisenhower travels to London to assess Major General James Chaney and his staff. Upon his return to Washington, Eisenhower had a very uneasy feeling about Chaney and his staff. In June of 1942, Eisenhower returns to London as the commanding officer replacing Chaney. And in July of 1942, Eisenhower was promoted to lieutenant general. After being named Supreme Commander of the Allied forces by President Roosevelt, he took command for two major operations, both in Europe and Africa. The first being November 1942, North Africa, Operation Torch, where the plans for this operation were planned underground in the headquarters of the Rock of Gibraltar. And Eisenhower was the first non-British commander in 200 years. June 6, 1944, Normandy, France, Operation Overlord, D-Day. The day that Eisenhower would always be remembered for in the years to come. In closing, Eisenhower was the man of one of 7 boys. He had a love for the outdoors, overcame multiple injuries, served in World War I, sadly never sets foot on European soil, served in World War II, and sees more than anyone will in one lifetime. Eisenhower said, "The supreme quality for leadership is unquestionably integrity. Without it, no real success is possible, no matter whether it is on a section game, on a football field, in an army, or in the office." Upon leaving the military in the years to come, Eisenhower was elected as our 34th president and took office in January of 1953.